Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm in a gym at the moment, enjoying some sweat breaking, and it's pretty intense, with freestyle webinars, clients, uh, a lot of things going on. But I'm so happy. I'm so thrilled, and jumping in the action, and I really enjoy that. So it's powerful, actually, really powerful. And yourself? How about not being a good guy anymore? I still love that. I still love that because that's something that I try to communicate to you as long as I know you. And apparently, the time came for you to jump into it. I'm so happy for you. Really, really am.
Don't be nice anymore.
Take that, Miro. I'm tired of your bullshit. I'm going to do what I feel like. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Guys, I'm going to be on and off because I'm in the gym right now, so I wouldn't be able to be a part of the whole the meeting, but I want to listen to you and to enjoy your company when I am sweating here. Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Here's Miro. What's for breakfast, Gail?
Fruits. Plenty of fruits. Blueberries, apples.
Dean, I have to tell you, so you guys, Dean and Jared and I were just on talking about the organizational stuff, and I was making notes on paper, right, as we're talking about getting everything digitized. And I had to move up here, and a big gust of wind came up and all my papers went flying. And I'm like chasing after before they go off the balcony. And I was like, this would be an awesome like marketing video, Dean. One more reason to get it all organized and contained online.
The universe sending you a message.
That's brilliant.
More Uncle Dean in your life.
That's right. Come on down. Bring your motorcycle.
It's so beautiful to see all of your smiley faces. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We are all smiling. I think we're faking it.
Yeah, we are.
As we do. That's funny. Marie, I've already been like, when I saw your message early this morning about your question about service and serving, and it's really been spiraling in my brain in a unique way. Thank you. Like, I love some of the questions that come up. Like maybe a topic, if someone was like, hey, do you want to talk about serving and service? I'd be like, I don't know, what's with that? And then once I really start chewing on it, I'm like, whoa, like it seems like there's a lot here. Yeah.
So
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it came. I don't have so much to say about it or to ask specifically, but it was something that came up as I was, pondering already now over quite a few weeks, because this topic of expertise has been around in our group for a little while, and I've stayed very quiet about it. And I was journaling about this morning, and I had written some thoughts about service a while ago already, and I guess I've been wondering, what does service mean to me? And I don't have a clear answer to it, but I'm just sort of, going a little bit, sort of taking that question with me. And this morning I was like, is service for others, or is service actually for me? So serving others, whom does that serve? And it was suddenly like, wow, just sort of because yeah, I've often felt that maybe I am maybe not that inclined to serve others, but there's certain things that I love doing that end up, making me totally happy and are serving other people. So it's like, it's this thing of, everything we do we really, do it for other people? Do we do it for ourselves? And I was listening to some video of Abraham Hicks this morning, and there was they said something at some point about this, I love you, but it's because I do it for me to love you. I don't do it for you. I don't love you for you. I love you because it makes me feel good. And I found that very, very interesting. And I was wondering what your thoughts were around that. And yeah, I also had some, have more, some thoughts around, is service necessarily work? What's the connection between service and work? What's the connection between service and money? And yeah, sort of those different aspects, and that sort of connected quite well to the topic of expertise as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the things we do and the things we are an expert in, are they necessarily the things we should or could or serve others with? Or are they, there's just so much there, it seems to me anyway, and I'm just like putting it out there in a very messy way. I don't have any answers right now, but just a lot of questions which I find very interesting to ponder.
Elena froze, but I thought she was going to say something.
That does look like she's about to dive
It looked
in.
like it, yeah.
I'll take her place until then. Oh, Miro, go for it.
Yeah. A few years ago, when my mother was alive still, she was pretty sick, and she was always a heavy smoker, and my brother hated that from the day one that our mother smokes, and when she finally got weaker and everything, she wanted him to get her cigarettes, and he refused, and he said, I believe in God, and I believe that I do harm to her if I get her cigarettes, and that made me think about service, because that cigarette will help her short term to feel better, and on the other side, long term, it cannot help her long term not to smoke that cigarette because she was sick, and was it actually serving her not to buy cigarettes or not? I don't know. It's hard to answer that. I believe that service, what we serve with, should be in alignment with our beliefs and our passion in some way. I will always better serve someone with something that I love to do than anything else. But from the other side, again, sometimes people will need us to do something that doesn't resonate with us. So what's the better service? I don't have answers, though. Those are just a few more questions. Sorry.
Powerful. Thank you, Mira.
When you say like it serve us serving others, it's like the service for me is giving or energy, which is like when you give a gift, you really give yourself a gift. And so it's why it's this energy that really feel or feed your soul somehow. And because we're all one and we're all united, making someone or serving someone else is serving yourself in the profound way that, yeah, because we're all one. And so when we feel that the other person feels better or is, served, or it's directly going back to us.
I remember when I decided to leave the corporate world, it was not totally my idea, but I ended up and moving towards the nonprofit space, NGO. Part of the reason I sort of was with databases was I kind of felt like I didn't really, like I don't want to run around and serve meals, although I've done that. And every time I do it, it's an amazing experience, right? It's one of those things that when you do it, you feel it. But there's a couple of things here for me that I found important. One of the things that resonated with me with Jesse was the way he described our service that we provide. And that if we're looking at it as a job or whatever, the real joy, the energy, the batteries included stuff is that there's somebody out there that has to have that they need that thing right now. And to not provide it is a bad thing. And as you said, I'm not loving you for you, I'm loving you for me, very sort of selfishly, in the sense that I look for things to love. And in that builds that muscle. That's my heart workout, right? What else can I love in this space? What else can I be bigger in that heart space? And as Gail said, we that giving comes back on us, but I'm going to take it one step further. It allows us to receive, right? That's the other side of that coin. And in the giving, I think that strengthens our ability to receive. And so I had somebody message me, hey, you seem like a nice guy, whatever. And they were a friend of a couple of friends, and then proceeded to and I looked at their profile and they're, Bitcoin affiliate, whatever. And I'm like, okay, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. But like, okay, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? And then, said some other, so it wasn't even a question, but it was a statement. And I didn't answer it. It was like 24 hours later, they wrote, I guess you're not friendly to new people. I'm like, okay, like but had this sort of, and they showed up trying to like, I want to go from here to money with you, right? They didn't show up with any idea of, I'm here to serve you. Who are you? What, is there something that I can be of service of? And it's kind of the idea with I sort of joked and played around with Elena that I was forgatesing her this morning around the database. And the idea of that is to identify the need ultimately, right? And is it something that I can do of service? And when we do that, that's the giving from the heart, right? That's this service to me is heart-centered versus money or some other metric, right? Which is lack. And so me coming and saying, I want this for you, right? Because I see this as something that you could use based on what you've told me, to me is a heart gift. And so, yes, I think it's for them, but as Gail and others have alluded to, it comes back for me.
I think that this group in everyone here, and probably many times without realizing it, is doing that for any one of us that posed a question or a thought or something, because then we're giving our time, our energy, our presence to look at what's really happening underneath, perhaps what was fueling that initial thought or question or comment or something. I was reminded your summary of statements was reminded of an experience yesterday that was fairly powerful for me. And part of running a business with employees is, you know, either being a boss or a leader to said employees, and you know, coaching them through some stuff. And I had an employee recently that I guess you could say was imploding. They were spiraling pretty bad. And, you know, everybody has a moment, and sometimes that means we have bad days. Well, this employee was having a series of bad days all stacked in a row, leading through a couple of weeks, and the facade was covering most of it, and ended up making some significant incorrect decisions when they knew better. But in that moment, they just, you know, one of them was a $7,500 mistake, cost me the company. Took a couple days off, and then yesterday wanted to come back to work, and before they could come back to work, they had to come visit with me. And this is, you know, the conversation, so to speak, that, you know, when you're pulled inside the boss's office, the owner, you know. And so this employee is a little bit nervous, and express that they're a little bit nervous. And I've already learned that I don't enter these conversations with a pre-planned agenda. You know, I view it as a conversation. And when we start going through a few things and, you know, listing a record of what had happened, the conversation took an interesting turn, because I could have berated the actions. But in turn, what happened was I ended up serving this person, listening to where they were coming from, and then connecting the dots to what they had originally agreed to do. And it was a building experience, not a, you know, am I losing my job experience or anything like that. And it was just, when you're talking, Marie, like, I haven't even gone through this. Yesterday was so terrible, insane busy, that I hadn't yet, you know, dwelled in that experience and gone through it yet. But it just reminded me, or made me connected the dot to how service is synonymous with living life. If in those moments, like, we're able to serve the other party with our presence, with our conduit, our connection, and lots of times then I'm reminded of how much I'm not serving the other side by being, what was the word you had said, Dean, in the message, the opposite of when you're all focused on narcissist. Mm-hmm. So, like, is an opposite of service being narcissistic, and you're only pulling everything towards yourself. You know, you're not flowing the energy through. And to me, it's just very powerful for listening to you, acknowledging that, you know, life can be a life of service where you're constantly giving, and that means that you're constantly building and growing and expanding, versus tearing down, versus, you know, sucking, being a leech of energy.
I love that.
Thank you. I love that too. I also pondered, you know, am I only serving when other people actually get to see it, to feel it? You know, I mean, like, if I would live like totally by myself, not be in interaction with a lot of people, could I still be serving? And the answer was clearly yes to me. I don't know in what way, but it was like, you know, and I think, you know, what you said, Gael, as well, is like, it's all one anyway. We all one anyway. So whatever I do, whatever joy I experience in my maybe solitude and living, I don't know, in the middle of the woods somewhere, is, I'm convinced it would also be serving the world, the universe, you know, however you want to put it. But it's very it just dawned on me that there's just it's so broad, and it's not just, I was always thinking, oh, so, serving, like an offer, like a particular work, that you do and you get money for, and this whole, I just so needed to broaden that perspective. And thank you for adding to that. Powerful.
Wow, you guys, help me here. This is fascinating. I'm hearing a lot, we're talking a lot about it's giving and receiving, right? There's certainly the exchange of energy along with whatever we're doing in service to someone else. And what's striking me in this conversation is that service is really, I can't think of the right word. It's not transactional. But like, if I go back to Miro's example, where his brother was being in service first to himself, right? In not doing something for his mom that wasn't in integrity and in alignment with like his values and what he desired for his mom. So like his mom could have said, you're not serving me, you're not taking care of me, you're not giving me what I want, what I need in my time of need, right? Like she could have made that decision about that. Or at the same time, she could have been in appreciation and gratitude, right? Thank you for serving me in this way, for wanting the best for me and my health, right? So like, it's just striking me that maybe being a recovering people pleaser, always trying to give, always trying to serve people, that I could exhaust myself by always giving, right? But that if it's not fully received, then it blocks some of the energy exchange, where, one of the spiritual laws is giving and receiving. So as I give, naturally energy will come back to me and I can receive, right? But if I'm always working to give to people as I think they want, or as I might have decided is in their best, if I'm making it about them, there we go. If I'm making it about them, then I might change my own energy around it, right? Instead of being in full integrity to myself. So like in the example of like Miro's brother, he couldn't so much worry about whether his mom was going to receive that as service to her or not, but he had to maintain his own integrity and give the way, like while he wasn't giving the cigarette, he was giving love, right? He was giving intention for health. And like when Jared is being the boss, right? Like, I could, some bosses would be like, I need to teach this guy a lesson. I'm going to tell him exactly what he needs to hear. I'm going to tell him, the 6 steps to being a successful employee, right? Like you could show up in service that way, or Jared being in integrity, like true to himself, right? And being fully present. And this is what's coming up. And this is the conversation that needs to be had. It's just striking me that there's something about, I'm not even exactly sure what being in service is, but like there's something about our being fully in integrity to ourselves, and the energy that we're giving that way is actually the highest service.
Because when we're in integrity with ourselves, which means like that our mind, body, soul is like all aligned, we give energy that is aligned to help other align to themselves.
I also think that they don't need to accept it. When I was going through the divorce process with my ex-wife, she didn't have access to dental care. I was able to, when she said something to me, I said, I'll put in for a month for you. It was less than 40. It was $37.50. Like, here you go make your appointment. And she never did. Right. Okay. All I can do is say, hey, we spent 7 years together. This is where I think I should stand. Right. And I made that offer, and I did that to service her, but more importantly, to service myself and my alignment and expand my heart, and to not be bitter about her getting up and going away one day and never seeing her again. right? Like, oh, I can still honor what we had. And so in giving her that, she didn't need to take me up on that, because that was from my heart, and that's how I see my alignment. You know, if it's my heart is called to do it, then that's my alignment stick.
Mhm. Going back to what Jared said, like the service is synonymous to leaving, and by just being present in the now, we actually serve, makes me realize that service is so easy in a way and simple, and it doesn't have to be through an offer, like Mary said, or through, it's just by serving with energy in a way, serving, you know, our kids, serving our friends, just by being present and be able to pick up on maybe what they need, or just creating the space for them to be more present.
Serving this relationship here,
Mm-hmm.
right? We show up, we try to bring our best self, and we're present and honoring that thing.
I don't know how connected this is, but what comes to mind in the last three people that have spoken is service from abundance or service from scarcity. Like that's what opens the door to receiving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're just giving freely, complete different energy than serving from a place of, well, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Also, something else I saw a little while ago, Dean's talking about, you know, the heart energy. I don't know, you were doing this, and
Yeah,
all I saw was the hog.
Well, I did want to share that as a fellow member with Elena of PPA, People Pleasers Anonymous, I'm on day one, and hi, my name is Dean. So I think there may be others out there that want to join us, Elena.
Without a doubt.
Come on. Oh.
And one of my major resentments that I'm still holding on, to be honest, is that my ex-wife made me get rid of my motorcycle. Just a quick story. I had this motorcycle when we met, loved the motorcycle. It was my bad boy thing, right? Like I had a leather jacket and I would go and do that, you know, on a weekend and pretend like I was a tough guy, and loved it, and had a couple of motorcycle buddies, and put her on the back of the bike, and she's like, oh, this is really uncomfortable. I can't do this with you. And okay, I'll get a better seat. I spent $450 to get like a nice padded seat so she could, you know, join me on this thing. She got on it, rode it for about 3 minutes. No, I still don't want to do it. Like, okay, whatever. I still get to ride my motorcycle. Now I have a cool seat. And then she's like, I think you need to get rid of it. Oh, God. Oh, God.
You need to hang out with my husband. He's like the PPA contrary. He never gave a shit ever. And it's interesting because I was like, I see it as such an amazing skill, and he taught me really early on. And I was like, how come? I was talking to his parents the other day, like, how come? Like, and then I'm realizing, yeah, the parents just never gave a shit. They always, like, the mom was like smoking weed, like she was from this like really Catholic family, but super honest, like, Donna, what are you doing? Well, smoking weed, you know. And the mother would be like, oh my goodness, this is, you know, we need to clean you up at church next time. And like, but she was always honest about what she was doing, and in the same time never gave a shit if, you know, her parents were so mad or everyone was so mad. She was like, yeah, this is what I do. and it's such an amazing, it's crazy how the freedom it brings to other people around as well. When you see that, you're like, what? You do this?
Yeah, I love the part where you say it's amazing the freedom it gives to other people. If if other people are not resentful of it, then they can be so inspired by it indeed, and it can be so I totally get that part. It's just amazing.
It's the expression of our true self, the one that wasn't conditioned to fit in society perfectly.
Yeah, and by doing that, you might inspire other people to give themselves permission to be, to be fully themselves and to do the things that they want to do, and not just do the things that they think everybody else wants them to do, right? But
it also explains why I was looking at empath and narcissist connection is the motorcycle bit. Like what, and I've been sort of confused as to what is the definition of narcissist, not to totally jump the shark here, but the biggest thing that I came to is an energy vampire. And I think my ex-wife and another relationship that I've had, I can look at that and say, oh, I'm the victim of a vampire. And so,
and in a way, like serving a vampire.
Yeah. What do they call it? Codependent? Absolutely. Absolutely. My marriage was totally codependent. So, but no more Mr. Nice Guy. You guys watch out. You're your best behavior.
What's your next step? I mean, I want to hear some accountability. Like, what are you going to do with your first day of PPA?
Well, living in a townhouse community, we got a bus stop like right at the end of the road, and there's like 30, 40 kids. I figure Monday I'm going to go out and take all their lunch money.
Really? This is an expression of freedom in the higher self.
I don't give a fuck.
Viciously take all their lunch money.
Take all their lunch money. They can eat tomorrow. They'll be fine. I don't know what the next step is, honestly, Gail. I think I'm going to see what the universe sends me, but I got a couple of ideas around meditating and kind of going back and seeing if I can connect with my little boy self a little bit more and go a little deeper in that space.
I mean, it might be, what do you say? It might be like something that you didn't do when you were a little kid that you just have to do now.
There may be something there.
And if it's stealing from a kid, well,
but I think it's,
yeah, I guess.
Well, there's been questions about whether this Uncle Dean thing, I think that's another strike against me, clearly. But but I do think that this is a beautiful conversation, because I think what I need to do is I need to go back and serve that little boy and tell him it's okay. I mean, that's the message and the space that I am in that. And I'm going to cry again. But I think I need to go give that little boy a hug and tell him it will be okay. There's Miro.
Dean?
Yes, sir.
Isn't that boy just one more person, sir?
Yes,
please.
Well, he needs a hug.
Go and say to him, get out, take care of yourself. Be something, I remember a story. There is a book, like child book, like about family of wolves. There was a little wolf that was scary. He was coward, everything scared him, And in one moment, his mother said to him, "Okay, those are this is your stuff. Take it and go in the world, go and get rid of your fears." And his father said, "Okay, little wolf, I believe in you," And they would let him out to take care of himself, for himself, and take care of his fears, you know. And he got, that was classic hero's journey story, you know. He was hesitant and everything, and he encountered a lot of challenges and everything. But at one moment, he lost his fear. He grew up over that, you know. So maybe if you let that boy fight for himself, not to be like a good little boy, you know, anymore. Maybe that will make some other kind of quality to his palette of colors. And if you start to be again one of his parents who is overprotective and takes care of his needs and everything, you know, that boy will always be just a good little boy in corner of some room, boardroom, or any kind of place with a lot of people. Maybe he should go out on himself and take his destiny, whatever that is.
I will go back and tell him to go down to the bus stop and take the money from the kid.
Yeah, it's a good first step. Yes, it's a good first step. And I so appreciate your idea to take care of those kids. You know, they will probably lose that money over some glue for sniffing or joints for the first time.
Serve them.
I'm protecting them from
like,
yes,
from
It's
their
service.
decision. Imagine that, and that's a good income.
I think we're back to the narcissism thing. We're back to narcissists. Yes.
Or
Thank
to the
you, Mira.
connection between service and money. Oh, I love it.
And also accepting, because there's time in between, accepting that you did what was good. You know, like I think all of us, at one point or another, we fit our social construct. We had to do it, or we just didn't know otherwise. And so we did. And there's a little bit of regret because we didn't listen to our true self at that moment. But it's okay. It's the human game. Like we're social beasts. And so it's still important to fit into society, while in this whole game, this whole like self-help is just like learning how to balance, how to really use first our true self and our heart to guide us, and then make it okay in our society, or just find our tribe, or that we're all learning. And so we all at one point or another just didn't really, we're not true to ourselves, and it's okay. It's totally okay.
Just didn't know better. I spent decades working harder and trying to be a better guy. If I just work hard and I'm a good guy, I'll get my rewards.
Yeah.
And now I know I need to swing by the bus stops to get my rewards. It's a different path. We've learned, you know, we switched the paradigm.
A question. So is the Mr. Nice Guy, is this related at all to the gardener in war or the warrior in the garden? That whole philosophy or concept of belief. And I know a lot of type A alpha males use it as an ego thing, but I see it as a very deep, like both yin and yang, to be the warrior in the garden. Because the warrior, like, you do have these boundaries.
Mm.
Someone comes, messes with you and wants to take your lunch money, then you know, you're very, very resilient against that when it's needed. But at the same time, you have an open heart. You're connecting with nature. You're in the garden, so to speak, and that's a place of service. So I don't know. I guess I'm just asking the question: is there a connection between the two, or I guess is the warrior in the garden an opposite of the Mr. Nice Guy?
Like many of these places, I don't think it's not a binary, right? It's
Correct.
it's the sliding scale, and I think that we each have we probably have a natural set point, or from a deeper truth, and then maybe the point that we felt like we needed to do to get along, right? That's changed that, and it's gone out of whack. And I think for me that I can look back and see my warrior self in a lot of different places. From a childhood fight to just you're not beating me, and a tenacity and a take action kind of standpoint. I think to some degree my recent history has probably moved me further along, although I do see the arcs through my life. But I think the recentness has pushed this to a point where it's become visible. It's manifested itself bigger in my world because it's beyond a useful place. And the universe has allowed me to see that this week. So I love wrote it down, the warrior in the garden, or the gardener in the war. So that's beautiful. Thank you, Jared.
I can remember. So I was, I'm a twin, and my
It's
twin.
fun to listen to your brother talk, and that was a great video. He sounds like me. Yeah.
My twin, growing up, was always the stronger, the usually picked first in a lot of scenarios, had much more of the attention, and I was given the label as meek. And for the longest time, I hated it because I was the small, timid one, and I was the small, timid one. And I can remember my pastor, the minister, which was also my uncle, great relationship. I can remember him sitting me down inside this meeting, whatever, and explaining how the meek will inherit the earth. And he was trying to explain it, that the heart and what's underneath the facade has great importance. And for a long time, I wore that badge with honor. Yeah. I'm always picked last or picked second or not ever picked first. But I've got the earth. I'm going to be there one day. And then I eventually found out that I can take responsibility and accept everything and be whoever I want to be and make those choices and become the warrior in the garden. And none of the meekness ever left. All that meekness grew, but so did so much more.
If I can add one more thing, Jared, where you just said a little bit at the end there that I think is key, and I thank you for reminding me of it, because I think they're a part and parcel of this people pleasing, or the things that I looked at this week around, don't be Mr. Nice Guy and so forth, is a lot of it is about taking responsibility. A lot of it is about taking responsibility of my place and who I am in my world, and stepping up more to command that, rather than when you get. I think one of the things in the when we talk about it at the PPA meetings, that is this allowing, right? And but it's allowing someone else's thought, energy, desires, wishes, dreams to circumvent your own. And when you continue to do that, when it gets too far, is when you just sort of give it up to nothing, right? You just sort of give it up. And that was one of the powerful things that I heard this week, is that I'm not fighting for myself enough. And so that little blurb at the end of what you said, Jared, is probably the biggest part, I think, of this, is to reclaim that little boy and show him how to go take down some kids and start thrashing the world a little bit.
Can I ask a question related to what I think you two are talking about? Dean, I want to just thank you for sharing your full self. I always think when any of you come in and just are so real, it ignites something really powerful in me too. And I'm so always so grateful for it. And this conversation is actually leading to something that's been a topic in my mind based on some conversations here. Do we choose who we want to be and then go be that? Or do we discover who we really are and be that or live that?
We remember who we truly are.
But don't we also make it who we are?
We choose and we make it, and that finally aligns with what we should be, our destiny in our future, because we live in a linear world that we understand that there's past and future and the line between that, but it's not like that. And if you let that concept go, you'll be able to understand that we are predestined to do something, and we choose that. We can call it remembering, but I think that remembering is something else. And we get to the point we should always be in one point, and that is the same thing. All of that is the one thing. So that's my way to see that.
And I feel if we want to be someone, but it's not fully aligned, then we're just like faking it to make it. So it's why, in a way, I like the concept of remembering, because when we want to be someone, when we feel we should be that person, it's maybe because it's truly who we are, and we're just remembering.
Yeah, that concept of truly who we are. I say that every time you believe you're not who you truly are, you're just ashamed of what you are right now, because we cannot be something else, someone else. We are always who we should be. We cannot be anything else. And when you deny that, when you say, I wasn't the person I should be, or I was meant to be, or whatever, you just deny yourself and you're ashamed of what you did or didn't do. There's just the way to try to detach from the truth there that says that you are not satisfied at that moment of the path.
I go back, well, like human men, my first thought was various jobs that I held, right? Like, because we always look at ourselves as through the lens of what we do. That's my understanding, is it's not exclusive to men, but it's sort of how men think. We are what we do. And have thought of jobs that I started out with. I did it because I thought that's what I should do. And it made me think of what Gail said earlier on, which I totally believe, is that we're doing the best we can with the information and knowledge and energy we have at the time. So we're not always being our best self or doing the thing that we're aligned to because we're not in a place to see or feel that alignment. So, I mean, Miro's right, we always are who we are. But I think what that is in relationship to maybe what we're considering the path or the different paradigm, I think changes, right? There were times where like, oh, I want to go be a businessman. My father was the executive vice president of a major corporation. And I was going to go be a sales guy and follow, I wanted to go to Wharton just like him. And didn't get in. That's another story. But I wore somebody else's coat. And, through this process, I'm very grateful that at some point I was like, nah. I didn't have the word aligned in my vocabulary. This doesn't suit me. And now it's, that alignment, I don't know where it ends up, but with all this talk of greatness and expertise and everything else, I know it's way, way bigger, and I can't wait to follow that trail. So who are we is a perfect question. Is that answerable? Because ultimately that who I am is, I think Jared would say, I'm not of this earth. I'm a individualized physical manifestation of the divine. And in that, I am what I am. And I don't have words for it. And I don't know that's because there aren't words for it, or I'm just not in a place where I'm smart enough to know those words. But at this point, that's who I am. I'm not, Dean is a label. And that's really cool.
Vail, how beautiful is it to, throughout a lifetime, to grow, expand our knowledge, expand our awareness of our truth, and so getting bigger and bigger, while accepting that, yeah, we were pretty smaller or disempowered at some point in our life. And when we understand this, it's just like, okay, this is cool. I'm growing, and just accepting. It's why I love when we also just concentrate on the future of the potential and the vision, because then the past is of course, we're smaller than what we are right now and what we will be, because throughout our life, we're just expanding everything. And it's cool. I guess the biggest, I think when we were fully baby, we were way bigger. We just lost everything throughout the process of being raised. But
I have the picture of my daughter's dog, Cupcake, a little Yorkie. So anybody that is around dogs like Yorkies know that they have the heart of a lion. They see themselves as very big. And then it's all right, so one of the statements that you're saying, are we choosing? And what's in between this is time. And so the more we see ourselves in the present moment, then the less time is involved. And then it's simply a matter of us remembering that we get to choose, and life just expands from that moment.
Perfect.
And Yorkie is true to himself. He's just yeah, I'm big. And he's so confident with it that you believe him. And it's so beautiful whatever shape we are, when someone is so confident in who they are and just he has a bubble of nothing touches him, you know, if we're like, Pooh, you just a tiny little thing, he's like, no, I'm not, definitely not. Like, you know, it's so cool. We should be like animals.
Well, and like I'm assuming we've all been around the Jesse Elder experience of choosing your avatar.
Mhm.
Like, what happens when okay, this is the avatar I've been wearing, and this is the avatar I want to be. You know, right now I want to be this guy, and you can change all those things, and all of a sudden your identity is different, and all of a sudden you're entering the world from a complete different viewpoint, and it's just the power of choice, right?
Yeah, it gives so much freedom as well, right?
Mhm. And when you experience that avatar and you go to like a hotel or somewhere completely different than your usual, you see the reflection of this avatar right away. It's like an experience you can do in one day. And you're like, oh yeah, I can, like right now I'm kind of playing this avatar, but I can be that. Like it feels really good.
So then are we the avatar or are we something more?
I think we are massively more, and the avatar is just a choice. And you know, choice of course implies that we can choose again and change, choose something different.
And I think we do that minute to minute, day by day, right? Like, I mean, sometimes intentionally and sometimes not. You know, part of my whole finish strong argument is, who do I need to be for this next thing?
Mhm.
Who do I want to be? To serve this person, who they need me to be?
Mhm.
But is that who I am, or is that just what I'm being? I don't think we got time to.
I can answer this in 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Ken.
Well, I mean, we have Elena here who can explain the universe in one sentence.
There you go. Wrap this up and put a bow on it, please, Elena. Perfect, perfect.
You're on mute.
You're and you're on mute, but we're reading the.
Maybe you know you are. All right.
Even then, even mute, she's a better communicator than all of us put together.
Yes.
Even on freaking mute.
So not fair.
That's a true story. I love it. Oh, that was good.
Oh,
Thank you. Wow.
Oh, boy.
We're just so smart. I can barely keep up to that.
Oh.
all right. Well, is that it for the day? By the way, Jared, I had a Maltese and a German Shepherd, and that Maltese would, like dinner bowl, could not jump up and grab the German Shepherd's throat, but tried really hard. And I'm like, hey, bud, you're an appetizer to that dog. I think you need to back off a little bit. It is so funny to see somebody that's just boxing out of their weight class. Yeah, it is awesome. Thank you for that picture. Alrighty.
Thank you, guys. Oh, Vegeta. Yeah.
And we all support Dean buying another bike.
Oh yeah. Oh, like.
I bike to do. There we
I think
go.
this is your first, and maybe like some like leather, like maybe a box thing. Like I don't know.
So a skull tattoo's coming, right?
Yeah, so a face tattoo. I'm thinking like the Mike Tyson thing, maybe something like that. Like, cool. I'm gonna go swing by the Hell's Angels and see if they got they got room. I have the leather coat, Gail. The leather biker jacket.
Can we see it next Thursday?
Yeah, sure.
Can we see your yeah, can you just play for us this avatar next Thursday? Please. I want it so bad.
I will do my best.
All right,
I will do my best.
let's
I love you guys. Be well.
I love
Thank
you
y'all.
too. Love you all.
yeah.
Bye bye.
Have a great week.